Cool. So now, yes, we're ready. For those who don't know me, I'm Carolina Talatinian. I'm the country coordinator for Education USA Argentina. We have a couple of advisors here with us. I'm not going to formally introduce Education USA. We've been doing that all week. So I can refer you to resources and places where you can learn more about Education USA. If you haven't already, it's a good idea to do that, though. But we have a couple of advisors joining us from our centers. We have Maria Iglesias. Do you want to say hi, Maria?
Hi, everybody from Mendoza. There is nobody from Mendoza
No,
today.
I haven't seen anybody yet, but we
Okay,
always have
yeah,
some people
we
from
hope so.
Mendoza. So, Valen, we have Valen.
Hi guys, my name is Valentina and I am from Rosario. So if anybody is from Rosario, I'll be more than happy.
Thank you, Valen. And I don't think the other advisors are here. They were all in the first webinar, but we also have centers in Córdoba. We also have centers in Santiago del Estero. Oh, Kathy's there. I know she was kind of busy, but she's there with us listening to your questions. Kathy from our Santiago del Estero center. And I'm forgetting Elliot Ko, who's from the city he's not from Cordoba. I mean, he works at the Cordoba. He's from Center. He's from the US. And then we have Alisa and Emilce in the centers in Buenos Aires, who we are all here to help all of you guys in this process of applying to universities in the US. So I'll very quickly start sharing screen, but it will be no, I'm not going to share a screen yet because I'm going to introduce our current recipients of the Opportunity Fund Scholarship. We have Irina joining us from Rosario,
Hi, how are you?
and we have Mailen joining us from. Do you want to introduce you? I'm not going to say where you're from. You're just jealous.
Hi guys, I'm from Santiago del Estero.
hmm And then we have Marcos.
Hello everyone, I'm Marcos from Córdoba.
Thank you,
Hi, I'm
Marcos.
Stone from Buenos Aires.
Yeah, and we know we're this meeting is already a celebration, but we are all in very good moods right now because Gaston, we have learned this week that he has been awarded admission to Stanford University. You're all learning this before we even put it on social media, right? He has been awarded a full ride scholarship to Stanford through his work in opportunity funds this year. So we're super, super proud about this. The rest of our opportunity students are working. Some of them are still waiting for their application results, and then they have a very long round of regular decision applications. So we'll be working all through Christmas and New Year very hard. And then in March, we'll be having the rest of the results, right? So, but we're super, super happy for Gaston, who can now take a nice long summer break, knowing that he'll be going to an amazing, well, we don't know yet, but if he accepts going there, he'll be going to he already has an amazing opportunity. So we'll see where he ends up going, but it looks like this is a great opportunity. So without much further ado, I think I introduced everybody. I'll start sharing screen and there. Okay. Sorry, guys. Something's happening there. So this is what is oh. So welcome to the Opportunity Funds 2026 application form webinar. Well, you already know, I hope, what the Opportunity Funds program is, but some people might have learned about it like yesterday. So I'm going to very, very super quickly go over the benefits and the requirements, but just in case, okay? So the Opportunity Fund Students is a scholarship that covers the all the expenses of applying to universities in the US. And the idea is that you are you have a strong academic profile, right? We're going to cover what that means for us in a bit. But the requirements are being an Argentinian citizen, you have to graduate November, December 2026. Not 2025. Sorry, if you're graduating now, this opportunity is not for you. Maybe there are other opportunities, but not exactly this one. Having a good GPA, 8 or more, having leadership skills and or active roles in extracurricular activities. We're going to cover what those are for us, right, in a bit. Of course, not being able to pay for the application expenses. And of course, having a good level of English, right, which is B2 or more. And the first thing that you might ask me is, Carolina, I don't know if I have the level. So seeing if you can follow this webinar in English, that's why we do it in English as well, is a good way to know if you have the level or not. If you're having issue following me, if you're having an issue following our students who are speaking to you in English right now and you can't follow them, maybe it's a sign that maybe you need to study a little bit more your English to get there. Okay, but generally what we say it's B2 in the Common European Framework. There are some tools that you can use to kind of assess what your level of English is as well, and they are for free. So we recommend those. If you can find them, let us know and we'll suggest a few. And of course, having the desire and ability to complete a 4-year. This is not a short term. I go there to the US for a bit and then I come back. You have to be willing to go to the US for 4 years and study there. Okay, you might come and go to visit your family, but you'll be there for a year. So this is an opportunity that we recommend for those who know that they can do this, right? And then what are the benefits? We guide you throughout the whole process. There's advisors guiding you all the way. We pay for your standardized exams or the translations, for the visa expenses. We give you money once you get there to buy the first things you need to buy for your dorm. We pay for, well, I said visa and service expenses. And we help you a lot with the selection of universities. There's also not us, but there's also an alumni network, other Opportunity Fund students who are studying in the US right now, who also help our Opportunity Fund students. So, and of course, the flight to the US as well. So those very quickly are the benefits, okay? All right. So if you haven't found it yet, in our website, educationusa.org.ar, there's a whole opportunity section, and there we have our schedule for this year. Okay, this is our idea. Right, then things can happen. If there's a change to this schedule, we will be letting you know through our through our social media. So follow us in one of them. Probably Instagram for you guys. We're not on TikTok, so you might want to follow us at least on Instagram so that you know if there's a modification to this schedule. But this schedule is kind of what it is. If you want more information on this, we have covered this in our previous webinar. I'm going to be sharing that webinar with you as well if you were not there before, but we're not going to cover that today because we have already. Okay. But of course, if you have any questions, we can cover that. You can write to us and we'll definitely answer them. And so this is our application form. While, that's one of our opportunity students, Juliano from Córdoba, who graduated this year from Pomona College. All the pictures you saw as previous Opportunity Fund students who are studying or graduated very recently. So that's the form. And I'm going to be going directly to the form right now. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to start sharing this screen, which is the application form. Look, we already have 2 people who have applied, and they are brave ones, right? I always suggest people to apply after we have done this, but maybe they watched the previous one, the one from last year. All right, there. So I'm going to do this. Okay. So you have it at home or as well, but just in case, this is what we see from the person who originates the form. Okay, so the first section. First thing first, the application deadline is February 18. I know some years before we have extended that deadline, and people who have been following us for a while might know that. But careful, because that's not our plan this year. Okay, because we started a little bit later on promoting this. So I don't think we will be extending the deadline. So don't play with that in your minds, okay? There will be no extensions. So that's important. And then this is new. You will need a Gmail account because there's something you need to upload. In last year's form, you didn't need that, but in this one you do. So that's important, okay, for you to know. Good. So the application form is divided in different sections depending on the kind of information that we need on your end. So first part, this boring part with lots of text, you have to read it. It's important that you read it because, there's important information there. So one of the important things you need to know is that the Opportunity Funds program does not guarantee acceptance into U.S. universities or scholarships from universities. We work together so that you apply and get the scholarship that the universities offer. But it's not that being admitted as an Opportunity Fund student automatically grants you access to a university. That's important for you to know from the get-go, okay? And then another important thing described here is that all application must be completed in English. Of course, there can be some terms that it's easier to write in Spanish. But the moment we see an application that is written in Spanish, the whole thing, we don't read it. We just automatically eliminate you, okay? Especially because that's said in many places. And, you're going to be applying to universities in the US in English. So this is common sense for us, okay? Okay, so anything else that I need to point out in this section? I don't think so. Then you can read the whole thing. And of course, this is the email if you have any questions, okay? Especially in the summer, because many centers are closed in the summer. I'm not, so I'll be the one answering to your questions. Argentina@educationusa.org. If you have any questions, please first go over this, and then if you have questions, you ask me. But this part, note on the use of AI tools. We have added it. We added it this year. It's because we got many applications in last year who were written with AI, and then we went to the interview, and we had very amazingly written applications. But then when we did the interviews, there were some people that couldn't even put 2 words together in English. So we want, as it says here, we want to get your authentic voice, your experiences, your way of thinking. We want to get to know you, not an algorithm's version of you. Please, if you're going to use AI, some people choose to use AI for editing or for summarizing, right? But if you're going to use AI at some point, we don't recommend it, but if you are, do so responsibly and ethically. We may use AI detection tools when we kind of have the feeling that things have been, written with AI, and we have become very good at that. So please just write with your style. It's way better for us when you do that. It gets pretty boring when everything is written with ChatGPT because ChatGPT always says the same things, and it's really boring. It gets boring. So first part is just personal data. No issues here. We never have any issues in this first part. It's pretty straightforward. Telephone numbers. Please make it, when you write your telephone number, make it WhatsApp friendly, like write it as you would write it in WhatsApp, because if we see that you maybe are selected for an interview, and you're not answering to our email, we may WhatsApp you, and it has happened that we haven't been able to contact people because maybe the area code is not written well or something. So make sure that you write it in a way that is, easily accessible for all the country. Okay. What else? Okay. From this one, okay. Typical question here: has one or both of your parents graduated from university? Typical question I get, Carolina: my parents have graduated from a terciario. Is that university? The answer for us and from the American perspective is no. Okay? So if it's a terciario, it's no. If it's incomplete studies, it's no. Good? Awesome. And that's the only thing I need to make a point of in that section. Then we have a high school information section. Again, super straightforward. We have added this category, private school with state subsidy, because many private schools have state subsidy. So it's important for us to know that as well. Then the orientation of your school degree. Generally you know, but sometimes you don't know. Just it's important to know the orientation. And these are categories, but if general categories. If you don't find your category there, there's an other section and you can write the other there. Okay, province of high school. Sometimes those don't match, which is weird, but sometimes those don't match. So high school address, the cost of your school, if you receive a scholarship of your school, because maybe it's a private school, but maybe you get 100% scholarship, and that's fine. Okay, it's just we need to know. And the expected graduation date for us is November, December 2026. Okay, that's why that's the only option here. But every year we get like 10 or 20 applications with other graduation dates. And yeah, that happens. But we don't read your application if you have graduated in 2025 or 2024. We won't read it. This is the first section we see. Okay, so careful with that. And then GPA. GPA is our promedio de la escuela, okay? And promedio académico. And as it says here, is your promedio during all your years of high school that you have. Of course, you're not going to have the last year, right? You're going to have the first 4 or the first 5 years of high school. So you do a promedio of each year, first year, second year, no, promedio de cada uno de esos, right? And from that promedios, from those numbers you get, you work out the average. You don't need to ask that to your school. You can work it out yourself, okay? You need to have your report cards. That's the only issue. Sometimes you lose your report card. So if you don't have them, run to your school before they close for the holidays, okay? That's why we do this before the 20 something, because we know that some people then they want to have information from their schools when they're already closed, and that's then class ranking. Some schools do class ranking, some schools don't do that. Generally, they do it by assigning abanderado or escoltas and, tags. Like, generally, they give the people with the best class ranking, the abanderado, abanderado de la bandera argentina, de la ciudad, o la papal. It depends on the kind of school, right? So, and generally they give those privileges, let's say, to the people who have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth class ranking. The class ranking has to do with your GPA, right? Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. If they do, we like learning about that because it's a kind of questions you get when you apply to universities in the US. Okay. Okay, there are some schools that offer IB, AP, or A levels. If you read that and you say, what's that? Probably your school doesn't offer them. Okay, so if that's the kind of attitude towards those, it's just fine to say no. Okay. Some schools offer those. It's just to know. And we reach a very important part. And this is the moment where I'm going to stop talking and our current students will start talking, which is the volunteering extracurricular activities, right? So what is this? Any kind of activities that you choose to do, that it's not mandatory for school. Maybe it's something you do at school. Maybe it's something you generated at school. Maybe it's not at school, but it's anything that is not mandatory. Okay. It's something you say, oh, I'm going to do this because it's fun, or I'm going to do this because I love this kind of, I love math, so I want to do Olympiads, right? So can we start with Marcos? You
Okay.
had many. You had many ECs.
Yeah,
Can you
I
give
have
us a
many.
couple of examples?
Okay, for example, during my whole high school, um, I was really committed to being a professional swimmer. So I did a lot of swimming during high school, and I added that and all of my accomplishments in swimming to one of my sections. Um, as how was my role inside the club, if we did some fundraising for some tournaments. So I think those things are also important to describe what you did about it in that club, in that activity. But well, yeah, there's another section after that it's honors, and then you can mention some others. But yeah, I also talk about a program I did last winter. It was Yale Young Global Scholars, YYGS. And I also describe a little bit about what I did in that program and also talk a little bit about the capstone project we did. I also have a triple impact company where I founded it and I led it for 2 years. And I also talk about that, what we did, how was our impact. And yeah, those are really important things. When you think about the activities, all the things that you do apart from school, it's also important to describe yourself in that position. Think about how do you involve with people if you give something back to your community, and also that question about if all extracurricular activities must be related to our field of interest or to study. That is not mandatory. Maybe people love to play the violin. I'm not really into instruments, but I know some people that they really are. And those are things that you can describe, of course, because it shows your creativity, that you love to improve, to try new things, to be artistic. And it's important to show you with your activities as how you are as a whole person and all of the things you do.
Thank you, Marcos. I want more examples of extracurricular activities, short and sweet. Irina, do you want to share your ECs?
Yes. So something, for example, that I dedicated a lot of time that maybe you don't think of it as an extracurricular was family responsibilities. Like around my house, like throughout all my years of high school, I spent always a lot of time like cooking or taking my sister to school or maybe picking her up from somewhere. So that's something I made sure to write. And then I also had participating in astronomy Olympiads as an extracurricular. And well, then I would say it's really important whether you win or you didn't win anything. If you participated in one, make sure to include it as well. Just by the process of going to classes and participating in something outside of school, that counts. Um, and then I had some like extracurriculars, maybe more related to like some kind of teaching that was inside my school, like something we did with a couple of more students and one professor, and then like we showed it like something we did in the lab or something like that. We showed it to younger students and we had like some small classes around that.
Mhm. Thank you, Edie. Mai, do you want to share? I'm going to ask you something more specific in a minute, but could you share a couple of things about, a couple of examples of your ECs?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I think the most important one for me was that I was an assistant leader in my church youth group. But also, I have participations in science club of my English institute. I was member of my church multimedia team. Also, I have been involved in projects at school, for example, organizing donations or creating initiatives to reduce waste and pollution. Also collaborated on fundraising at my church as it was a project called Diseños Celestiales, which involved photography and graphical design, which is very unique. And also, I was an English tutor for elementary students.
So let's talk. I was planning to talk about this before, but we have a section specifically for leadership activities, right? So see that you have volunteering and extracurricular activities section, and then you have a section of leadership activities. Some students are very good using this space they have to the max, right? So maybe they use the volunteering and extracurricular activities, they write a section. I didn't raise my hand. Why do I have my hand raised?
I think it's a new thing that if you raise up your hand and show it to the camera,
Let's
it
try
already
that.
reacts like that.
Me encanta. Thank you, Marcos. Let's do that again. Yeah, it is doing that. Sorry. This is who I am. Yeah, that's great, actually. Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
really
it.
great.
I love it. Yeah, but now I can't move. I generally move a lot when speaking. But anyway, so some people, as I was saying, are very good at making great use of all the space. So maybe the volunteering and extracurricular activities section, this section, do you see my, oh, a ver, voy a hacer esto. No sé si, no quiero hacer eso. Okay, anyway. This section, okay, they choose to write certain things, and then in the leadership activity, they present with new ones, only the ones that are leadership. So, and you had many leadership activities, Mylene. You kind of started describing those. Could you tell us the ones you mentioned there and how you described those in your application?
Yeah, well, I mentioned two leadership activities in that section. It was the one that I already mentioned. It was an assistant leader in the church ministry. Well, here I basically describe what I do as an assistant leader in a preteen group, girls group. Well, basically, leading activities, giving talks, and guiding other girls, to improve um, their life with Jesus, specifically because I'm Christian, and basically, these activities related to that religion. So I basically talk about how I develop my leadership through communication, mentoring skills, and basically how I help all these girls to grow spiritually and emotionally too. And I also mentioned that I was a founder of a secondhand clothing business that I started last summer. And basically, this project that I created was more to promote circular fashion and to reduce waste consumption. This idea came because I was working at school. I'm also a environmental ambassador at school, so I saw there was a lot of waste related to clothes, in a worldwide aspect. So I decided to start this, and it was actually pretty new in my city. And after I started doing this, this business, a lot of people actually decided to do it too. And so, yeah, I basically wrote about those two activities. They are really important to me.
Thank you, Mai. And Gaston, do you want to cover that? And maybe if you had any awards, I don't remember now, right now, I think so, right? What kind
Okay.
of activities you mentioned there?
Yes, in the leadership section, I talk about being a founding member of a nonprofit organization and other things we did there and how we work together. But I focus on my role, and I didn't try to describe the organization. I focus in what things I did. Additionally, I talk about the student council where I was the president, and also I talk about a technological project I created that was recognized by Microsoft and Amazon. And for awards, I don't. Yes, I put a award from a hackathon I won in the MIT in the MIT Solve program. I also put my Math Olympiad awards that were like I believe it was champion or something like that. A recognition from my city for approving a technological education law. And in my current application, I talk about winning, about being in the top 10 of the Global Student Prize. And I think that is all of my awards.
Enough, right? That was kind of enough. You don't need to have all the awards Gaston did have, right? Like we have admitted students with less awards. It's just nice when you have them, but you don't need to have like a list of 10 awards there, okay? But it's good to see sometimes we don't consider something an award and it is. So it's any academic recognition or any kind of recognition that you have had from an organization. Generally, it has to be from an organization, somebody else that is recognizing your effort, your achievements, right? If it's a recognition from a friend or from your parents, unfortunately that's nice for the soul but it's not considered an award in the application for universities in the US. Okay, before going to the next section, do you have, the four of you guys, do you have any specific suggestions when it comes to when it comes to this section, like any suggestion when it comes to describing the activities? There's limited space. So how did you do with that, right? Like tell them a little bit about your experience and things you learned from that experience. I see Marcos like nodding there. I think you have an idea in your mind, don't do
Yeah, I
you?
have an idea because
Okay.
the most difficult thing for me was mainly identifying these activities in my day. And one tip that I have is going through my gallery and finding those pictures that I can see from many activities that I enroll with. Uh, so you can think about, well, yeah, what I did last year. And then you start scrolling And then you find, oh yeah, I participate in this volunteering, I did this project for my school, and then you can remember of all of those things. And when it comes to describing, I think that mainly the most important thing is trying to explain it to someone who doesn't know you. Think about that. Someone who doesn't know your background, someone who doesn't know what you are doing during the day. So try to explain it briefly, but concise enough to understand it all. That's like a hard balance, but you have to search for that.
Sorry, am I recording? Yes. Am I?
Yes,
Am I?
yes.
Okay. For a moment, I was like, ah. Okay, cool. Any other suggestions, Gaston, Mai, Irina? If nothing comes to mind, that's fine. But maybe you have like, oh, when I was doing this, I like.
I would say you probably already know this, but make like a docs or some document and start writing there, which is much more easier because like you can count the words you are writing. So if you have like a specific limit, you can do that pretty easily. And you can also like see it better in the screen. So that's,
Mhm.
I would say.
Okay, I have a suggestion as well. For those, specifically for those who have so many activities, they don't know what to write. So my suggestion for those kinds of people are focus on those that either are very important to you or those that you've learned from a lot or those that have had a lot of impact on other people, on your community, right? Sometimes people take lots of courses, right? And that's great if you have taken lots of courses, but you could say, I took number of courses on different fields, blah, blah, blah. And then you can leave that space to refer to other more, um, you know, different activities. We love it when you're good students and when you like to study. We know that you like to study because you already have like good GPAs, but we also want to know who you are as a person. So those kinds of activities tell us more about yourself than if you did 100 courses, online courses, right? So if you don't have enough space to tell us everything, just focus on those that you say, oh, esta actividad estuvo buenísima. Like, I learned so much, or I made so many mistakes here and I learned so much from them, right? We love those stories as well. Stories of failure, we love them. Yeah, stories of how amazing you are. We already know that you're amazing, but stories of failure and how you cope with that failure tell us more about you than like those stories when you're amazing and you know and that's the case with applications to universities in the US as well. Okay, so if there's nothing else you want to highlight, Mai or Gaston, we can pass on to the next. Hoy de nuevo. We can pass on to the next section. Okay. So this is the English language proficiency section. Okay. Sorry, there are questions, but we will go over those at the end. So in a way, I've already mentioned the level of English part. So how would you rate your own level of English? One way to do that is go use one of those online tools. The other way of doing that is asking your teacher, your English teacher, if you had to, tell me what my level of English is in the Common European Framework. What would that be? B1, B2, C1, C2, A1, A2. If you don't know what that is, you can write to us and we can explain more or give you a reference, but your teachers will know. You can also have a look at the book you've been using this year. Generally, they do have the level there. Like the book you've been using at school, right? Like they generally have it. Or ask your teacher. Sometimes the book you're using, it's not exactly Oh, Valen wants to say something. Yes.
I just wanted to add something, like a little suggestion. You could use AI, any AI tool, to determine what is your level of English. Sometimes if you use, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini, you can use the speaking option. I think it's like it's
Oh,
like
that's actually a good idea.
yeah.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
never
because
tried it. I'm going
it's
to
really
try it.
precise.
Oh, I'm going to try that in Italian. I've been using Duolingo. And okay, cool. That's actually a pretty good idea, using AI to determine level of English. Gaston. Ah, Gaston left us, and now he's coming back. No, he wasn't raising his hand. Okay. Awesome. Yes. This is an approximation anyway. If you make it to the last part of the, application process, we will be giving you a test of English to make sure that you'll have to, we'll have an interview in English. And you'll be sitting for an exam in English. So that will help us determine, but it's good for us to kind of know the level that you say you have. Okay. Well, some information about where you have studied English. If you read books, magazines, or newspapers, please do tell us the ones that you actually read. Then if we ask you a question in the interview about those books and you have no idea, it's kind of a letdown, right? So just tell us what you read. And if you don't read, it's okay to say I don't read, right? Some people say, okay, I don't read, but I watch this and this kind of media. I should add a question related to that. Every year I change the form. Next year I'll add it. Now it's not fair because two people have already applied. If they hadn't applied, I would. But and if you ever travel to the US and or any other English-speaking country, when and for what purpose? Okay, the years and what was the purpose of that trip? Okay, we know that this is an academic scholarship, but it's also a financial aid scholarship, and sometimes you win awards, right? And or somebody like a relative gives you that for your 15th birthday. I don't know. So oh yeah, Valentina says we love it when you write down a book we never heard about before, or yes, or famous person. There's a question about a famous person and we don't know that person. It's like, oh, I have to Google this. That's awesome. Marcos.
I wanted to add one more thing
Yeah.
about the books, magazine, newspapers, or blogs. In my case, I wrote about some magazines that I read, but also added some podcasts that also counts as media. So you guys can take that into account.
Yeah. Yeah, we should update that. I mean, has to do with like reading, right? But comprehension comes from other sources as well, right? Like other media as well. So if you feel that there's something that it's very important, like a podcast or videos, like you follow a YouTuber that you're always following that guy, and you want to, he's an English speaker, he's or she's an English speaker, you're more than welcome to write it here this time. Next year, there will be a separate part. Okay. This Section 4 is about your financial circumstances. And you'll see that this will get super personal because we're going to ask many, many things about your financial profile. And this is because we're trying to establish what kind of need you have. As I said before, and somebody asked a question there, and I'm going to refer to this question because it kind of explains the financial need. Florencia is saying, in relation to the requirements to apply, which says no tener capacidad de cubrir los costos de postulación, if parents are able to finance it but refuse because they have other children to take care of or other reasons, can the student apply? Yes, you can, as I think Maria is saying. That has to do with the fact that there are other priorities in the family, right? It's like, look, I have to pay for these other things. You have siblings. I have to pay for their stuff. I can, but I'm not gonna because I have to pay for other things, right? That are more important for us than paying for your application in the US. And that's kind of financial need. Now, if your parents do not support your studying in the US, that's a different idea. So that's a different thing. So talk to your parents, because if you're awarded a scholarship and then your parents do not give you permission to participate in our activities, that's a problem, right? So your parents need to be on your side, at least of you applying to universities in the US with our help. We cannot work together if your parents don't allow you to participate, right? So talk to them, okay? But yeah, no tener capacidad de cubrir los costos de postulación can be very open, right? It depends on every family situation. So in case you're doubtful, you apply. We will be the judge of that, okay? I don't know, because my parents can pay for a private school and, don't determine that yourself. We will be the ones determining that, okay? Based on all the information you're giving us. If you're in doubt, the application process can take between the cheapest of all the application processes can take up to $2,000. Okay. And if your family, I mean, that's the cheapest, right? So just for you to have an idea when you're doing this part. Okay, Florencia, my parents give you permission, but don't want to fund the application process, possibly because they have other financial priorities. Okay, so that's okay, Florencia. So you'll have questions regarding your parents' income. You have questions regarding your additional income that you might have. For example, if your parents have a job and then they have I don't know, a property and they rent that property and that brings money, right? Those are additional sources of income. If you live with other people, your grandparents, for example, that's a financial burden on your family. If you have lots of siblings or you have two siblings that go to private school or that go to school and, they have to pay for that. Those for us, all those things are important for us to know. If you live with both parents, or if your parents are divorced and they have to, pay for two different homes, that's an added expense, right? So those things are also taken into account. Well, properties, businesses, cars, big things that might represent an asset. That's the kind of things we will be asking. And this is a question that we have. How much can your family contribute in dollars per year to your education in the US? Amount can be estimated. And if your family cannot contribute any funding, it is acceptable to put 0, okay? No problem with that. Many people write to us asking that, and there's no problem if that's the situation, okay? Estoy hablando mucho. All right. Study goals. I'm going to keep on talking, but for a very short period because this is new. Marcos and Mailen and Irina and Gaston haven't done this, but we have changed this a little bit. We're asking you to upload a short 1-minute video introducing yourself and why you want to study in the US. Okay, instead of doing it in written form. I realized that was a boring question. I kind of always got bored reading that question. I said, okay, how can we do this a little bit more fun? And and also, how can we make sure that the person is fluent in English? After last year's, we had these issues where some people were not fluent in English. So it's also a way to see your level of English like your pronunciation, your fluency. And my suggestion here is please don't read from a script, and please don't take like 3 hours to record this. Like you start recording one, then you stop. Oh no, I'm going to record one more. Oh, I'm going to record a third one. Just like be yourself. There's no need for you to like super prepare for this. We don't need a presentation. It's just you on the camera and saying, hi, I want to study this and that. And I want to study in the US because of this and this and that. And that's it. Okay. Don't overthink this part. Okay. But please don't read from a script. It's like just getting those boring answers. You reading it from a script. So we just like want you and you being you yourself. Okay. I know I'll get bored if I see that you're reading from a script because the scripts are, oh, don't. Okay, and then we have the field or fields of studies that you're interested in, and the universities that you're interested in as well, and why. Any examples and suggestions in this section, guys?
Yes, probably try to answer the questions using your current interests, like try to show how these interests are related to what you want to study. For example, if you want to study maths and you participate in math Olympiads, try to mix and answer the why. For example, I like problem solving and I want to apply it when I study mathematics. However, I believe it's like an open question and you can write whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's not like you have to decide what you want to study right now, right? Like it's like this is an approximation of the things that you enjoy, but then it's not like it's not set in stone. It's right? And if you're
Yeah.
not sure, you can, yeah, go ahead, Marcos.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to researching on universities, you might get lost sometimes on some universities' websites, but it's really important to find those opportunities that you think that you can take advantage of if you enroll in that university that you might get interested of. Maybe it's a club, maybe it's a competition, maybe it's a class, maybe it's a program. You might find it, but it can take some while. And well, of course, I know that the advisors have great resources when it comes to researching on universities, mainly some pages when you can search all of the universities and you might find the website and some comments from actual students. So yeah, try to find it to your relatable to your interests, and yeah, you might have some fun researching on universities.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you from the point of view, this year I'm being very honest and direct, uh, compared to other years. Um, from the point of view of us, the advisors who read the application, when you in the universities that interest you, it's a list of Ivy Leagues, and then why you want to study there because they are the most recognized universities in the world, blah, blah, blah. That's super boring for us to read. Avoid doing that. Like, I'm just telling you what not to do. Don't do that. Take a moment to research and tell us why you prefer one university over the other one. It's very off-putting when you do that. It seems like you haven't done any research, right? We like candidates who can do research on their own and show that question is there for that reason. Okay. To see if you actually went through the trouble of doing a little bit of research when it comes to universities. And Kathy, hey, Kathy is our advisor from Santiago del Estero. You wanna join us and add anything to what we were saying?
I wanted to jump in at this point when we're talking about your selection of universities, because echo a little bit of what Carolina says is we do see a lot of I only want the Ivy Leagues. And as somebody who didn't go to an Ivy League school, I went to a smaller university in the United States, but there are so many options for you. And so I really encourage you to take a look at universities beyond the Ivy Leagues. And there are a couple of things that I always try to tell students to think about. The Ivy Leagues are great, but just because you're in an Ivy League doesn't mean that that's the only place you're going to get a good education. Any accredited university is going to give you a good education. If you think about where you're from, what your family is like, what your community is like, many of you don't live in humongous cities. Some of you are from Buenos Aires and live in a big city and would maybe like to continue living in a big city. But there are lots of people who live in smaller cities or smaller communities or would like to have kind of that smaller community feel. And there are lots and lots and lots of really lovely places to live in the United States other than in the places where the Ivy League universities are. Also, when you think about it, everybody in the world wants to apply to the Ivy Leagues. And so part of what we look for and part of what you need to think about is how are you going to set yourself apart from all of the other applicants that are applying to these universities? If you are one person among 500,000 applicants, it's going to be very difficult for you to set yourself apart. Whereas if you are one applicant among 10,000, you have, or less, there's a much better option or opportunity for you to be able to set yourself apart and reach that goal of getting a full ride scholarship. A lot of smaller universities in smaller cities or even smaller towns in the United States, they will get to know you. You're not just a number. That's one of the things that happens a lot of times in state universities is your first year, you're in classes with 400 other students and your teachers don't have a clue who you are. And so it's not until you get into the higher years that you actually start to be able to make connections and really establish things. Does it happen? Of course it can happen. But the biggest thing is just don't stick with just I have these 6 Ivy Leagues and this is the only place I want to go, but really take a chance and look at other places because there are really, really great places where you could have a really wonderful experience and learn things that maybe specifically aren't being looked at the Ivy Leagues. Maybe you have a very specific field that you're interested in studying and the Ivy Leagues don't have that field. Don't go, oh, well, I just want to be in an Ivy League. No, look for what is going to really give you what you are interested in. And don't be afraid of looking at other places. And if you have questions about if this city is okay, if this place and if this area of the country is okay, reach out to any of us. Especially those of us who, Alyssa, Elliot, and I, who are from the United States, have a lot of information, but even the other advisors have many times have traveled in the US or have visited or they know about lots of places in the US. So if you have any questions about the places that you're thinking about, you can reach out to us and ask us about it as well. But just make sure you expand your search.
Exactly. And you had like kind of lesson 1 of what we do in our first sessions, right? Through Kathy's explanation. But it's important that you take this into account. We don't need a list of 10 universities. It's even better if it's just a list of 1 or 2 universities, but maybe you found a university that we didn't even know of through your research and I love it when you make us Google. That's always a great situation. When you make us Google, we love it. It's like, oh, I'm learning from this application. That's awesome. So it's not about a question of quantity, Josefina. It's about quality, the quality of research, your quality of research. Okay. Because we also want for you, we want this process for you to also be a learning experience, right? If you just write a list of Ivy Leagues, you haven't learned anything about the US and your prospects about studying in the US. So we want this to be a learning opportunity for you guys. Okay, well, I'll promise we'll shut up and we'll let the students talk. This is the part where it's always great to have the insight of the students, and it's also great to start with time. All right, Marcos. So these are all creative writing questions. You have one in which you have to talk about a famous person in history you talk to, then reflect on an idea or experience that makes you genuinely excited about learning. Can we have examples of this part? If you remember, guys, what you wrote about in this section and how you tackled this, if you remember. I don't know if you remember. Do you,
I
Marcos?
wrote about Viktor Frankl because in summer I read a book about him and he inspired me. So I decided to write about him. And I believe like if you read something and you get interested in that famous person, maybe that is a good option and try to research and try to look for values that try to look for persons that show sorry try to look for people that show your values or that
Okay.
is what it
But in the famous person one,
yeah
right?
yeah
What about the experience that makes you genuinely excited about learning? It could be you or the rest of the students.
okay.
I have it here.
Okay,
If
cool.
you want some time. When I searched the email from the form I filled, I was surprised because I don't remember writing this.
Oh,
But
cool.
but it's about how as a child I got interested by ideas, dreams, and limits by watching Phineas and Ferb. And then I connect that to the question of how new ideas and innovation is made now at the time of AI. So yeah, I got surprised when I saw this because
Oh,
I don't remember
you're
writing
planning to use that as a supplemental essay now, huh? That could be a good
yeah.
idea. Cool. What about my Irina? Irina, yes.
Well, now that Marco tells this, I had kind of a similar background idea. I like told an story, and the story was when I first watched a documentary on TV. And like after watching that documentary, I started to get into what I want to study, which is physics and like things related to maybe engineering. So, like, I told the story in the past of that day that I first watched that, and then I carried out to the present and I mix it with what I want to do now.
Cool. My
Well, in the question, what is your favorite word and why? I read about the word chango, which is a word that we use a lot in Santiago del Estero. I know that has a different meaning in other province, but I basically talk about the meaning that it has in Santiago, and also about the how the word sounds, like the chango, you know. That I don't know why that word is so special to me because it reminds me of where I'm from, and basically. I use that word to, to call my friends and basically every single child. And it's something that it doesn't happen in a lot of province. So yeah, I basically wrote about that.
Cool. So that takes us to that question. That can be a word in Spanish, in English, in any language, right? That's another question we also always get. Oh, it's a word in a different language. Doesn't matter. Okay. I want to go back to the reflection and idea or experience that makes you genuinely excited about learning. Some people decide to answer that like kind of straight through. Oh, I love maths because of this and this and that, and that's fine. Also, it's a nice coincidence or not, I don't know. But Marcos and Irina answered this question through a story. And that's always nice, when you tell us a story, it's a nice way to get to know you. You don't have to, right? Because there are different personalities, right? You can find a different strategy to answer this question. You don't have to tell a story. But if that's easier for you, that makes things easier, go for it. Okay. How did you spend your last 2 summers? Don't feel that you have to tell us that you did, so many courses, academic courses. We know that you're academically strong. You can tell us if you actually took courses, by all means, let us know what you did. But I'm sure you did fun things, right? We want to know what you do for fun. And when you're not studying or doing all these extracurricular activities, what you are doing for fun and to chill. Because that's the other thing. We always ask you to have things for you to chill, right? Because the application process, it's hard, it's long, it's in the last year of your high school. So we always keep on repeating, okay, what do you do for fun? What are you doing for fun apart from doing all these other things, academic things? So don't feel that you have to tell us, I read 50 books and I took these online courses. And if you did, that's great, by all means, but also tell us what you do for fun. We love it when you describe, I don't know, what you do in your city, when you go to certain places on vacation. Yeah. And then we have other creative writing tasks. What's your favorite word? If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why? And then we have a letter to a roommate. So write a note to your future roommate that reveals something about you or that will help your roommate and us to get to know you better. The last 2 summers is 2025, 2026. Yeah, because this is the current summer. So yes, that would no 22. I would say 2024, 2025. Not this summer. This summer you're applying like you know it's happening now. So, but it's fine. If you choose to say, last year I did this year I'm doing this, that's also fine. Okay. And then this one, the note was optional last year, but most like 95% of the students chose to write it. So we're making it obligatory this year. But we're adding an optional section when if there's anything that you wanted to share with us, anything that is important about you that you couldn't share, you can share it with us. So for example, some people say, look, I now I'm all tens, right? But when I was in second year, third year, I had a 4 or 5. So I was going through a rough patch in my life. And maybe I don't know, your GPA is not a 10, an 8, right? But you're having this kind of like weird situation and you want to tell us about it, we will be more than happy to hear it from you. And if in doubt, apply anyway. Okay. Like, I don't know if this, this is a weird, if you're doubtful, apply. Okay. And anything, you can use this section for anything. Anything. Okay. Like, by all means, use this. It's not a lot of words, but you have a section there. But before we go to the last section, I really want to hear your suggestions on writing. These students already have gone through the situation of having to write essays, and they will be having a couple of weeks of heavy writing ahead for them. So anything you have learned through this experience of the application process for opportunity or the application process to universities in the US that you can share with us?
I can start if you want.
Yeah, sure.
In my case, what worked for me, which is something that maybe doesn't work for anybody, was that I would grab a blank sheet of paper, like a big one, and I would write like, for example, I had an essay, let's say the one like, what is your favorite word? So I would write the things I wanted to mention like super quickly, and then what I tried to do was like read the paper, see it physically, and try to connect all the bullet points that I wrote into one main idea. And then after I did that, I would like grab the computer and start writing the essay itself.
Okay, thank you. For some others, it might be just I'm just writing things and see what happens with that. Like that's a very, very specific to the personality, your personality, right? I want to hear something from all of you guys. So,
Okay,
Marcos.
so I see that Irina has like a scientific method. For me, it's more about well, I I used to like feel some panic when I'm in front of a blank page, but the most important thing and the most important tip is just to start writing, and yeah, I started by drafting in Spanish. That worked for me at the start. When I saw the question, I started to yap all along as much as I could, and then once I had like all of the ideas out of my mind, I could read them, and then organize them in a way that feels better to read than the disaster that comes first. But you can see a bad draft. You can start with a bad draft, but once you uh, see all of the ideas you had, then you can find the way to tell a story or share the message that you really want to.
Thank you, Marcos. Any other comments, Gaston?
Yes, I like the advice that show, don't tell. For example, I like to put all the ideas of stories I have particularly. I remember when talking about maths, I decided to put a story when I was 7 or 8 that I had problem counting. I go well like until 21 and after 30 or something like that. And I use that story to show why I like maths. So try to connect your ideas with stories. So I believe that is the best advice I receive about writing essays, and start early.
Start early, don't leave it till the very last minute. Gaston is referring to something we repeat all the time. Show, don't tell. Like if you're saying that you're organized, a very well organized person, don't tell us I'm a very well organized person. Tell us what you do. Like I assign labels to whatever, and I do this and I do that, or tell us a story where you are showing us how organized you are. But it's better for us to learn about you through your actions than through the words you say you are. Okay, Mailen?
Yeah, well, for me, it was hard to find ideas of what to write about. So I decided to like every single day, if I was just like sitting or walking to some place, and I would start just thinking about life. And if I get like an idea, I will just write it on my notes on my phone. So I will do that like every single day, or a couple of days on the week. And usually when I needed to write something specifically, I would look into my notes and I will see like different ideas. So that really helped me to get more ideas and decide what to write about. So I would recommend you to do that if you spend a lot of time outside or walking and just like spend a lot of time thinking, for example, with yourself. I recommend you to do that because I think it really helped me.
Mhm. Thank you. So different approaches to writing. Um, yeah, it's important that you start with time, that you can write, draft, maybe show it to somebody, what you're writing. It's always nice to show it to somebody so that you get a second opinion, or maybe you're forgetting something about a story. It always helps. It's allowed that you show it to people. We don't have any issue with that. Um,
And one last tip is
yeah.
that you make sure that you're answering the prompt. Because sometimes when we think about a story and telling a story, we might lose the message. And that's really important that you're correctly answering the prompt.
Thank you, Marcos. That's really important. Okay, so last section, super straightforward. We're asking you to e-sign, which is just write your name the date, and then we have added this. Have you previously participated in any of these Education USA programs? Okay, so if you have participated, well, a lot of you participating with in this live, you're more than welcome to already take the opportunity webinar, right? This is just for us to know for how long you've been following us, you have been working with us. Sometimes the person who is interviewing you, maybe you're a competitive college club student, but maybe the person interviewing you doesn't know that because they don't work with a college club on a regular basis. I get super, sometimes I don't realize, and maybe I'm interviewing a student from that program. I would like to know more. I would like to know that, right? So it's just for us to know how long you've been with us. And this, then how did you learn about the program? And before we finish, our webinar, and we go to the questions, I'd like to do a round of what I call, just words of encouragement from the students, from the current students. So any words of encouragement, any last words you'd like to share with the students here?
Well, I love to share the most important message or the most important tip that someone shared me for this kind of application is just to be yourself, guys. If you show yourself as you truly are, then you can show your message and your really interests and passions. And if this is really your dream, I'm really encouraging you to follow it, to be curious, and yeah, I think that if you follow those things from the heart, then it will come up well.
Thank you, Marcos.
I believe a good advice I received for the application last year was try to work every day at least 1 hour, so you avoid to work like for the last 10 days of the deadline every hour. So start early and try to plan all the essays, the extracurricular activities, so you have time and you make it properly.
Eddie, Mike.
Well, I just want to say that I recommend you to apply. When I was applying, I didn't know if I was gonna get in because I know it was really competitive. But apply and believe me that if it's meant to be to you, it will happen. The right door will open if it's meant to happen. So just trust that whatever you're doing is enough, and try to give the best of yourself. And yeah, just try to do it. And believe me that if it's meant to happen, it will happen.
Thank you, Mike. Edie?
Finally, I would say that don't lose your mind trying to make every question of the application perfect or think what is the exact formula to be accepted, because there's not, because most of the application are creative questions and creative answers. So don't try to maybe get inspired by something or some answer that you think is right. Like the guy said, be yourself, and that's probably the best answer you can give to any question. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you, Edie. Valen, you want to
Yeah, I would just like to say, don't hesitate to ask for help. Whether you make it or not to the end of the selection process, if you are really interested in studying in the US, you still can apply, you still can get our help. Sometimes we get a bit, I don't know, anxious about asking for help. It's not easy for everyone, but we are here for you. So please do.
Thank you, Valen. I don't know, Kathy, if you're available, but if you are, if you want to
Yes, I would say the same thing as Valen is don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't boycott yourself. Don't try to make the decision for us, which will then also be good for you. Don't try to make the decision for the universities. Don't try to second guess what it is that we want or what it is that we're looking for and try to be that. Just be you, and you are good enough. And the same, it kind of goes back to what Carol said at the beginning of using AI. Your voice is the voice that everybody wants to hear. You are the person that we want to see. You are the person that we want to get to know. And the same thing will happen for the universities. So this process is a great process. Like Valen said, even if you aren't selected, if you don't make it to the final round, this process is a great process for you to learn a lot about yourself and for you to prepare for applying for universities without opportunity funds, or for applying for other exchange opportunities, for applying for other different things that may come your way at some point in life. So take your time to do it, take it seriously. And that's when the best results will come.
Thank you, Kathy, and I agree 100% with everybody. And just know that you know, as Kathy was saying, this will also be a great moment for self-reflection and for you to stop and think about, what do I like? What are the things? It's a year where you kind of have to start thinking about your future, right? And one of the things we will be asking you to do if you are selected for the Opportunity Fund students is choose a university here in Argentina as a plan B, right? And I think that going through this process will also help you gain skills that will be useful for your whole year. So if you're unsure, just go through it and learn from it, and we'll see what happens at the end. But try to make the effort if you're really into this opportunity. Try to really make the effort of going through it. And as Valen said, we're here to help you. I'll be here all summer to help you guys. So if you have any urgent questions, you can write to me and I can answer them. But this is a very good time for those questions. I'm going to say goodbye to all of those of you who don't have any questions. If you want to stay to listen to the questions some students might have, you're more than welcome to stay. But yeah, we'll have a couple of minutes for questions. So thank you for those who have joined us and have to go. We'll stay with the questions. Santiago is asking, are interviews carried out in groups or one-on-one? They're carried out one-on-one. Okay. Yeah, we don't do group interviews. I think that's not those kind of interviews are not very fair, because if you're an extrovert, you're an introvert, you're you're not in the best situation. It will always be the extrovert talking. So we do one-on-one interviews. I mean, it's one-on-one, but there might be 3 advisors and you, right? So get ready for that as well. It can be a little bit intimidating having 3 people listening to you. That can happen. So it won't be one-on-one, but it won't be group interviews for sure. Do we have any other questions? I know that Valen was answering. Valen and Maria Maria had to leave, I think. Yes, okay. So because I didn't ask her to share anything, and okay. Do we have any other questions that I haven't answered? Acá, a ver, acá hay una. Oh, how many students are usually selected? 4. Okay. Does it vary depending on the year? It's generally 4. We have had a couple of years where we had 6 or 5, and that was because we had funds, the pandemic. We had funds left, and we had money. We were rich. And that's when we decided to use some of those funds for opportunity funds. But that's not the case this year, so I can say for sure it will be 4, no more than 4. So yeah, that's a good question. And we generally get 150 applications, 150, 130, depends on the year. So generally out of the 130, we get 20, 25 interviews. And those interviews, then we select 10 or 8. We do a couple more activities, and then we choose our 4 out of those 8 or 10. Okay. Yep. Any other questions, comments, and or concerns? Well, we've been super clear, or they are super tired of listening to us. So I think so our email, like a general email for questions, is at argentina@educationusa.org. Many of the advisors will not be at the center for the summer, but I'll be there. I mean, some of them are available till like the beginning of the end of December, but that email for sure you'll get an answer. So refer to that email if you don't have questions now. And we should contact advisors directly for any questions about the form. Yes, or to me, to Argentina at educationusa.org. Okay. Because some advisors might be on vacation, to get like a quick answer. You can contact any advisors, but me, Alisa, or Emilce will be here all summer. Okay. Or mostly all summer. So all January. When I say summer, it's the moment where you have to apply. So during January in particular, refer to that email, or to Emilce or Alisa, who are the Buenos Aires advisors, because we will be here for sure. What is the difference between leadership activities and extracurricular activities and volunteer? So a leadership activity might be an extracurricular activity, right? But we ask about that specific activity because we want to know more about that that extracurricular that might have a leadership role, where you might have a leadership role. So a volunteering activity is another type of extracurricular activity. You might have a leadership role in a volunteering activity or not. You might just be like a volunteer of an organization, and that's fine as well. Okay. Hope that was clear enough. Yeah, Shio. I think I've said this at some point. It's okay to apply even if you haven't won any sort of awards. That's fine. Sometimes you might live in a place where you don't get to have lots of access to many activities, right? And that's fine, right? It's just maybe you live in a place where, well, you don't have a lot of access to many things, and it's okay. It's who you are that is interesting for us. Okay, not the awards you have. If you have awards, by all means, let us know. But it's not that you're going to be eliminated if you don't write anything there. Okay. All right, guys. Marco, how was the application process different from the Opportunity Fund students compared to, no entendí. How was the application process different for the Opportunity Funds? Like you say, are you saying the profile? You want to unmute yourself, Marco?
I wanted to like the process of applying as preparing the essays or for the exams.
Oh, okay. So applying to universities in the US might have a similar content, but it will be more ambitious. Like the kind of, you'll have to write an essay that is longer, a personal statement that it's around 600 words. Then you might have to write supplemental essays, specific essays related to the university you're applying to. It's similar in the way that it makes you reflect a lot about what you want, who you are, what your priorities are. The format is different, right? The financial aid part is super different. Like if you are filing, like if you want financial aid, you will have to write a financial aid application. It's not like this one. It's completely different and long, and generally you have to provide even more information. For example, expenses, not only the amount of money your parents have, but the amount of expenses your parents have as well. Like how much do you spend on food, on education, on other kinds of expenses. So the financial aid application is way longer. That's a good question. Yeah. It's a good, yeah.
Sorry, can I interrupt? Marco, I don't know if are you asking how the application process when you're applying for university, how it's different for opportunity funds recipients versus people who don't have opportunity funds?
Also,
Okay, so
but did I answer your question?
In
Did I
that case,
answer?
yeah. I was speaking about that. So yeah,
okay, because in that case, the
it's
opportunity
clear. It's
funds
clear.
receive lots and lots of, receive more hands-on attention from us than students who are not opportunity funds who are
Oh, I
in the
got
same
it. Two other
process.
applicants. Yeah, I read the question very quickly. Yeah. So we have another program called a college club. I think you're a part of it, Marco, aren't you? Yeah. So opportunity funds have to participate in college club because the information they get is the same as the people in college club. It's not that we repeat like the same thing twice, right? The general information is the same. Then what we do is we get together with them on a one-on-one basis, kind of what we do in our office hours, right? But they have like exclusive office hours, right? So where we meet, we follow them. Okay, what are you doing? You should be doing this. Are you doing this or not? They have our phones, they have our phone numbers, and we have a group with them, and we kind of chat with them, or and they get these other benefits, which are we pay for their expenses, right? And yeah, we introduce the students on our behalf. On their behalf, we introduce the students to the universities that they are applying to as well, just like to let them know that they are part of the program. But yeah, that's the main difference. The information is the same for everybody. It's not that we keep information just exclusively for them. We don't do that. The information is the same for everybody. Okay. All right, that was a good question to finish this with. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you the current opportunity students, the advisors, and all of you who have been here. We hope to see all of your applications reflected on our Excel sheet soon. And well, good luck. And well, we're really looking forward to getting to know you more. Bye-bye, and you already know where to find us if you have questions. See ya.